Howdy nerds, welcome back. Today's video is so absurd. Remember when I said this? Instead, I used the first modern AU I'd created for those characters. A story for another day. Wait, that was in a video that performed really poorly, you probably don't. Context time! It was in reference to the first comic I made with the characters in Paperclips. But before we get into it, let's chat for a second. Today's speed paint is just some Paperclips lines. And 2 weeks from today, Ratu is coming back. I, for some reason, really like Saturdays, so I'll be posting a video on the same day. Also, because this video is heavy on the history of the story, and I actually have a lot of art from this time, I'll be throwing related images on the screen. Whether or not you want to see them is up to you. Otherwise, it'll be a chill video of me talking about the history of my comic. Well, it's another day, so let's get into it. The very first iteration of these characters were actually as fan characters. Let me be honest here, Swim is my old Sona. She was my Minecraft skin, and she got the name Swim from my old username being Swimming Fun. I don't know what to tell y'all. I got my Minecraft account in 2013. My account predates horses by a month. I was 11. Anyway, during that time I was super into the YouTuber Aphmau. And after a long break between seasons 0 and 1, because that's what I call them, of her series Minecraft Diaries, I ended up getting super invested into the story. Because Swim was my Sona, when I wanted to make some characters for that series, I ended up making random characters based off Minecraft skins along my own Sona, Swim. That was sometime in 2015. I would write stories about them and occasionally draw those characters. It was in 2016 that I decided to break away from them being Aphmau fan characters. At first, it was also going to be a Minecraft roleplay series, far different from how their canon story turned out. I'll explain the canon part in a bit. But that was when I decided to work on an official story for them. I created them very young, and I always romanticized the idea of making a story or characters young and working on it through adulthood. Funny how things turn out, huh? But anyway, I wanted to write a story for them about that. I was still heavily influenced by Minecraft Diaries, so I still left it as a medieval story. In that story, the main six, Lily, Mickey, Grant, Cleo, Miles, and Katie were all the children of gods, thus, gods themselves, though they didn't have full access to their powers. They lived on an island split into 6 sections with 6 towns. Maestриus, yes, that's now the only weird name I've kept from this time. Lily's town was thought gone. Lily herself was assumed dead by her town and the other godchildren. Lily herself didn't know. She's a runaway with low-level magic and a familiar trying to find her way home. The only thing she has to mark home is a map with a jewel on it. Literally a piece I made in my freshman year jewelry class, which is when I was writing this story. I don't know where it is, but I do have a photo of it that I had to take for that class. The assumed dead village of Maestриus is hidden behind a dense forest. She's passed through there several times. It's not until she finds Maestриus at the end of book 1 of 4 that she learns she's a god. Originally, I wasn't supposed to ship any of these characters. I literally made it illegal in universe for the gods to date. Didn't really stop me when I came back a year later. I mean, there already was romance. Paperclips is the sole outlier in the age difference between Mickey and Lily. In all other iterations, those two are twins. That's true for this story, where their parents, Michael and Lindsay, got together. The gods were dying when they made their children. Magic things. I'm not getting into it, but they were all asexually reproduced with magic. Michael and Lindsay put each other's magic in each other's children, so Mickey and Lily are twins. Then I thought Michael, as the god of love, would have done something to make sure his son wouldn't fall for his daughter. I don't know what I was on either. So he made it so Mickey would fall for Katie after they met. But Mickey falls for Grant. Then I made this stupid ass system as a failsafe for myself. The full titles for the quartet create a sentence. The City, book 1, Drowns, book 2, The Fallen, book 3, Heroes, book 4. The City drowns the fallen heroes. The failsafe? If at book 2 I decided this story wasn't worth continuing, then when Mickey confessed his feelings to Grant at the end of book 2, it would end with Grant, god of war, becoming rageful, far beyond what the actual villain of the series would even be like. He would kill the other godchildren and destroy the world, making the full sentence of the duology, the city drowns. Then, as I continued to work on the characters, not the story, the characters, I started to like seeing Lily and Cleo together. That's where I was starting to fall. I wanted a break from their canon story. So, continuing to take influence from Minecraft Diaries and My Street, I created a modern AU. Not Paperclips. Pojickers. Almost nothing to do with mermaids. Instead, Mickey and Lily are twin sorcerers. They moved towns and started Diver High School, a melting pot of magical creatures. There were mermaids, because I couldn't resist, giants, angels, demons, vampires, and so many others. Lily and Mickey were the Tornado Twins. They just moved to their new school, Diver, after blowing up their house on accident. They're quirky. The entire goal of the story is lost on me. I have detailed descriptions on each magical creature, but the actual plot of the story? Nah. At most, I know Grant's a warlock who follows an evil god. At some point, he was supposed to be possessed by the god and turned into the unwilling villain of the story. Until the cliche happens and Mickey saves him. In pick-me fashion, it would have resulted in the "this isn't the Grant I know" speech. Cleo and Lily were just gonna happen in the background. Pojickers was the twins' story, but it was Mickey's story above all else. It was in 2017 that my mermaid obsession came back full force. I honestly couldn't tell you what triggered it, but I've been a fan of mermaids since I was a kid, and I used to go in and out of being into them. It wasn't that I stopped liking merfolk, it was that I got temporarily heavily invested in something else. A lot of the time though, merfolk would seep into whatever I was interested in. Yes, that means I've written and am writing stupid stuff with merfolk, including but not limited to Ace Attorney, Miraculous Ladybug, and most recently, the MCU. Harley Keener is a merman now, and no one can stop me. Regardless, my mermaid obsession hit me like a truck. My best guess is that Make 'em Mermaids had ended the year prior, and I'd always loved that series, so I've seen it a couple times. Because I was once again invested in merfolk, I wanted to create a second modern AU of these guys and make it merfolk related. Thus, finally, the birth of Paperclips. Though, that version is next to nothing like its current and final form. I would go into detail, but that's going to be saved until after Paperclips is over, or at least until some of the bigger plot points have happened. That'll be a second channel video though, possibly a live when the time comes. For now, what I can tell you is that in the old versions, it was really dry. Paperclips has basically always started the same. Lily's chosen to go up to the surface because she's smart as hell and has to leave her friends and family behind. Brother excluded. In the original version, however, the only angst was to come from the relationship between Lily and Cleo itself. Bonding was rougher and had a terrible system, Lily was a lot weaker, and Ronnie didn't exist. So none of the fantastical stuff that's going to happen would have even been hinted at. My best guess is that old Paperclips would have been a small 200-page run. For reference, I'm just roughing page 200 and I'm not even halfway into season 2. Another thing, this was around the time where I was into the idea of becoming an animator, so old Paperclips actually would have been a small cartoon. I tried animating an intro without storyboarding. I was in and gave up midway through sketching it out. That's on screen now. I'll loop it a few times because it is not a lot. Hell, not even the mastery system was in place. Let me tell you, it's both a big deal and not. It's just the secondary power system. Despite it sounding like you put in work to master one single power of the 5 main mer powers, water, fire, air, earth, and ice, it's actually just the power you are naturally born being inclined to, and the side effects that come with it. Mers have all those powers and can speak to all sea creatures. Not very well, but they can understand all sea creatures at least to a certain level. Water masters have no restriction on understanding them. Earth masters can understand all land creatures, ice masters never get cold, and similarly, fire masters never get hot. There's a whole list. I promise to get into it one day. It's supposed to be one of Grant's lessons. It's one of their lessons that's marked as super important to read for the next part of the story. That makes it a big deal. So yeah, that's kinda how I landed on Paperclips. Ratu came in while I was waiting for my hairdresser to come back with the idea that I wanted to revisit an old cliche I used to write. Basically, just twins move to a new city and one or both of them discovers a magical part of the universe. It was supposed to be stupid and short, but it spiraled and turned into what I have today. Couple key differences. Originally, Ronnie was going to be green. I put it up to a vote with my friends, and the popular vote was green. That was when I was too scared to saturate my colors after a long era of oversaturating, so the red turned out very pink. It wasn't until I was reassessing Ratu a few months later that I decided I had too many cool color characters. So, Ronnie went red. During the reassessment period, I was also figuring out its place in the timeline. Originally, Ratu was set about 20 years after Paperclips, but then my view on the magic of the world changed, and Ratu got bumped up to being at the exact same time as Paperclips. So, through a bit of a rush, I started posting it, just in time to go on hiatus. Yay. Briefly before Paperclips, I included an arc in Pojickers where Mickey accidentally turns Lily into a mermaid and Lily hates it. And it was a year or so later that I created Paperclips because I'll always be into mermaids. I literally still have all the mermaid books I used to have as a kid. Hell, as a kid I watched Mermaids: The Body Found thinking it was a documentary because I was like 9 when it came out. Of course I thought it was real when I was already as invested into mermaids as I still am today. There's a fun video idea in that. For me at least. Regardless, that's how I've gotten where we are. Hopefully Paperclips resumes next year and I can get back into my old flow. I wouldn't be here today without those terrible old drafts. So no matter how much I cringe at them, they'll all always hold a special place in my heart. You shouldn't be hard on your past self either. Who knows what would have happened if you didn't create whatever it is that you used to create. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.